of the reasons why I won't bring my wife back to this country.
He's a hero for wounded veterans, and now he's a hero for tabloid victims. He's your David in a world of Goliaths, and yet he's not brave enough to bring his wife back to the UK. Yes, I am talking about the illustrious Prince Harry. Please stay till the end so that you can hear when he talks about the Queen. Let's take a dive into this deep sea of crocodile tears. So the documentary starts out with Prince Harry complaining about being caught smoking illegal substances in a pub and says his High Court win against the Mayor Group was nothing short of a monumental victory. Right out the gate, I must say that Prince Harry appears very snarky, and his mannerisms don't even seem to be his own anymore. I wonder who's influencing him. There are two other newspaper lawsuits going on for Prince Harry, including one against Rupert Murdoch's newspaper group. So I'm not quite sure how, when these cases are live, he's able to talk about all of this. But I also don't think that those cases are going to be as strong as this one that he has just won. But don't worry, because he's David and everyone else are Goliaths.
This is a David versus Goliath situation. The Davids are the claimants, and the Goliath is this vast media enterprise. I'm trying to get justice for everybody.
So now we get into the real victims who have been filing cases and legal proceedings far before Harry went on this money chase. I do think that this is kind of his retirement fund. Like, Meghan told him, oh, but don't worry, whenever we run out of money, you can always just sue everybody because you never got a settlement like William did. And we're going to get into all of that. But let's just start with the real victims. One was Charlotte Church. And Charlotte Church's story was that she thought her phone was being tapped during her wild teenage years. Harry was not part of Charlotte's legal fight against the tabloids. The documentary goes on to explain that money was motivating factors for a lot of the staff of these tabloid companies. They had to sell papers, and that's why I think William was so brilliant to accept a settlement, which was a large settlement. But when you get them in their pockets, that's where they feel it. So they think twice after that about talking about William, don't they? They don't want to get sued again. Let's put it that way.
Prince William reportedly settled out of court with News Group newspapers for a very large sum of money.
What Harry did, on the other hand, was so stubborn and greedy to not settle out of court. But not only that, there's also the fact that he was behaving extremely badly. He was very sloppy and even anti-Semitic. And that is his real grievance at the end of the day, that the papers did expose his bad behavior. And let's not beat around the bush about it. That is really why he's here. He's here for vengeance. He's here to be vindictive because he couldn't take accountability for his bad behavior. So now he's trying to go through the phone hacking thing to say, well, I won. At the end of the day, I won. It doesn't erase your behavior. And then he's also trying to make people feel sorry for him. When I tell you, we are swimming through tears at this point. So once again, Harry is using other people's suffering to bring attention to himself. The documentary interviews a lot of staff. They talk about the willingness to take shortcuts, i.e. hacking and tapping and other nefarious means of gathering information. The journalists really boil the need down to public interest. Contrary to what Harry thinks.
There's a big difference between what interests the public and what is public interest. So,
isn't there a difference between public interest and what interests the public?
No, it's exactly the same. It has to be.
Okay, Harry, what are you trying to do? What is all this gymnastics and semantics? And they wanted to know what you were doing wrong next. And the palace at the same time, don't forget, the palace has covered up so much that he has the hubris to sit up here and complain about the one or two times that he was caught. There was so much cover up when it came to Harry's behavior. We know that now, obviously, but at the time we didn't know that. And he's complaining of a time when we did not know what he was really up to. Yeah, so next there's this like really tight shot of Harry again whinging about photographers, and he has this Meghan Markle style fast blink, which seems very disingenuous and very much like he's lying. It's a very affected thing. But here comes Hugh Grant, my good friend. He doesn't mention him being caught in Miami with his trans ass worker or something like that, but he does talk about the fact that the press in UK did burgle his house and they didn't take anything, but they were just information gathering. And I think that's extremely creepy and very unsettling to hear his story. And also that they gathered medical records. I mean, a lot of things happened to him. I really don't understand.
There were medical records of me and mothers of my children.
He did settle out of court. Where was Harry when Hugh Grant settled out of court? He was in Montecito being greedy. Anyway, it turns out that a couple journalists from the News of the World did get arrested, and at some point others did resign. We move on to another victim. Millie Dowler was a missing girl. Her landlord's phone was hacked and he was accused of wrongdoing. The journalists were harassing him. The investigation went on and he went through a lot. Okay. Next victim is a normal citizen again, Paul Dodge. He's the man with the woman with the mask. He saved some people from an explosion in London. His phone was hacked by News of the World. For some reason, they targeted him and he also went through a lot.
Apparently because people wanted to know who the woman was behind this mask.
Prince Harry, by the way, did not save neither Millie Dowler's family and friends nor Paul Dodge, his family and friends. He did nothing for these people because at the time he was in a cushy position where the royal family is protecting him and giving him loads of money, so he had no reason to be involving himself in any of this. The Leveson inquiries happened in 2011. This is where a bunch of celebs and regular people alike were trying to find out if they were hacked, and they wanted to question the different entities. Note to self, Harry of course did not show up for that either. Daily Mirror whistleblower comes on and he is from 1999. These things are so old and done and tired. He speaks out about Piers Morgan, who was his editor at the time, his boss at the time, and he says that Piers Morgan did in fact know what was going on. But girl, we ain't going to touch that with a 10-foot pole because Piers Morgan is very litigious and I don't want to get involved. Also, I do find he did look quite cute down in 1999. Anyway, the result of all of that is that the tabloids did get off pretty easy by awarding damages, but also settling out of court. Harry not getting any settlement. Didn't need it. So a new case emerges after the Leveson inquiry in 2015. The Mirror is accused of phone hacking again. And this time it is the football hero Paul Gascoigne, and he enters a documentary. And I really felt sorry for him, honestly, because he had a fall from grace. The tabloids hacked his phone. He kept changing mobile phones. He even had to say, he said he checked into hotels just to make phone calls. It was that bad. You know, he had his little problems and his demons, and he's a very sensitive guy, and I felt very badly for him. He did settle for millions of pounds from the tabloids. Harry, once again, nowhere in sight in 2015. Maybe he was too busy conjuring up a plan with Meghan Markle at that time. They talk about paranoia, and of course, this is his perfect opportunity to bring up Princess Diana. First of all, I don't think anyone thought she was paranoid. Like, everyone could see with their two eyes that Princess Diana was papped constantly.
And yet, still today, the tabloid press, very much enjoy painting her as being paranoid. But she wasn't paranoid. She was absolutely right of what was happening to her. And she's not around today to find out the truth.
And she's not around today in case he has to remind you that he's lost his mother for the 1 millionth time. She's not around today to defend herself. Literally, nobody would have said this woman was paranoid. She was even so polite when she used to tell people to give her a moment because she's on a private holiday and this is not a public service event that she's at. They were everywhere. They crawled all over her like ants. I do know there's some commentators who have said that she's paranoid, and I'm not going to say who they are, but I found that crazy to even put that on her.
Does your mother motivate you in this legal
Yeah, there's all sorts of things that motivate me.
So not only his mother, but his fake mother, Meghan Markle, I think is what he's thinking. There are all sorts of things. My mother, this woman that I married that might be my mother, I'm not sure. There's a lot of stuff. There's stuff out there that's in my mind. But the best part that he says about Princess Diana is that she was the first person in history to ever be hacked. That part.
Same with my mother. There was evidence to suggest that she was being hacked in the mid-90s. Probably one of the first people to be hacked.
Boy, stop. That she was the first person to be hacked in history? How? In the 1990s? I don't think he knows very much. What about Nixon and Watergate and all of that? I didn't realize he was so self-centered. It's almost more gross on a man than a woman to be that self-centered and self-indulgent.
As well as phone hacking, Mirror Group newspapers commissioned private investigators to blag the flight information, credit card details, or phone bills of Prince Harry's then-girlfriend, Chelsea Davy.
Anyway, he moves on to Chelsea Davy, luckily, because he's still crying over her.
Harry's girl to dump him. Seems as though they knew something before I even did.
I'm sorry. I almost kicked my camera down. What was that? That's the Chelsea story. Then he quickly switches over to Meghan Markle. He starts talking about how Meghan is in danger.
I don't think there's anybody else in the world that is better suited and placed to be able to see this through than myself. It's still dangerous, and all it takes is one lone actor, one person who reads this stuff to act on what they have read. And whether it's a knife or acid, whatever it is, and these are things that are a genuine concern for me. It's one of the reasons why I won't bring my wife back to this country.
Some will question whether there's an element of payback here too.
No, I think
No.
I know that it is clear now to everybody that the risk of taking on the press and the risk of such retaliation from them by taking these claims forward is clearly not in my interest to do that.
Okay, I'm sorry. That makes no sense to me. I don't see it that way. I don't think any of his attention that he's experiencing out in Montecito has anything to do with these court cases. These court cases are very high-end, multi-million-dollar trials between, like, this is not relatable. We don't understand how this relates to anything. You have a lot of money and you're taking on big entities in the UK whilst living in Montecito and doing a lot of foolishness, including getting awards that you don't deserve. And that is what you're getting attention for. And that's what you're getting slagged off for. So I don't see how it has anything to do, like, I don't see how the public now realizes how this is so serious.
Look at what has happened in the last 4 years to me, my wife, and my family, right? So that was a very...
Right, wrong. What has happened in the last 4 years is because of you and your wife's crazy behavior. Nothing to do with the news of the world, the Mirror, the Daily Mail, no, nothing to do with them. It's your behavior that the public doesn't like you as people. Like from watching you as two people. It has nothing to do with your court cases.
Hard decision for me to make, which is how bad is it going to get? There is more than enough attention on me and my wife anyway. They pushed me too far. It got to a point where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Whenever somebody says you damned if you do and you damned if you don't, that always doesn't sit well with me, because I think of them not really having accountability. They're like, well, even if I do right, I'm not gonna do wrong. So they don't do right. It's an excuse for them to not do the right thing. So I don't like to hear people say that personally.
I don't think there's anybody else in the world that is better suited and placed to be able to see this through than myself.
Okay. So I have no accountability. So I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. Nobody cares. Everyone hates me. But I think I'm the right man for the job. How so?
And all it takes is one lone actor, one person who reads this stuff to act on what they have read. And whether it's a knife or acid.
Boy, don't tell people what to do. Why are you giving people ideas? He's so stupid. No, he's dumb. I'm sorry. I have to do it like this. I'm doing it very surgically because I don't want to get claimed, but also I can't stop. I can't stop pausing. Why are you giving people idea of how to attack you? Why are you telling people like the Taliban that you have killed them in the past for them to come after you? Why do you keep doing this? It's kind of a sick, twisted, he has a morbidness about him. There's something very morbid about him.
Whatever it is, and these are things that are a genuine concern for me. One of the reasons why I won't bring my wife back to this country.
The reason why your wife won't return to the country is because she's called the whole of England racist. She's too ashamed to come back to England. That's it. Okay, next up we have former Prime Minister Gordon Brown. He was also hacked, which meant that it would have been a national security issue. In fact, it is Gordon Brown that is calling for a criminal investigation, not just Prince Harry, as the trailer tried to indicate at one point.
This is a cause for a criminal investigation, and I want the Metropolitan Police to reopen their investigations into what happened. The truth is important because we are talking about basic civil liberties.
For Prince Harry, this is far from over. He has 2 ongoing civil cases, and he's also calling for criminal investigations.
You see what I'm saying? Anyway, let's move on to Sienna Miller, another real victim. Sienna Miller sued at some point, again, without the help of Harry, and that went well. Prince Harry's to take on The Sun next year. But that's interesting because he's being asked to reveal his secret communications with the ghostwriter of Spare. So like I said, I think those next court cases are going to be a very different kettle of fish from the one he just won. Yeah, one of the pièces de résistance of this interview was that Prince Harry is now claiming it is the court case that is causing the rift in his family. No longer racism, no longer mental healthism, no longer pressism. Okay, not the press taking photos of him in the tabloidsisms. It is now a new thing that is causing the rift in his family, which makes me feel like he's a little bit insane. He's pathological in his lying now, because put out one thing, he'd take it back and said he didn't say it. So here, let's listen to his new reason for having a rift with the family. It's very convoluted.
Anything I say about my family results in a torrent of abuse from the press. I've made it very...
You are the one who's abusing your family.
I've made it very clear that this is something that needs to be done. It would be nice if we did it as a family. I believe that, again, from a service standpoint, and when you're in a public role, that these are the things that we should be doing.
What? Service standpoint? No, listen to what he's saying. He's saying that the family should come together to sue the newspapers for millions of dollars from a service standpoint. He's completely forgotten what service means. Public service, what he used to do, the things he was involved in. He's completely forgotten. Because now it's about the court case. That's public service now. William already settled his grievance with the press and took his settlement.
For the greater good. But, I'm doing this.
The greater good. He's really caught up in that Hollywood life that he thinks the greater good is celebrity life.
I'm doing this for my reasons.
What do you think?
But he's also just doing it for his reasons. The man is confused, huh?
But it's caused, as you say, part of a rift.
The word salad, he's definitely learned from Meghan. He talks about the Queen. I did say that we had to listen to this, so let's do it together.
You said in court documents that the Queen, or Granny as you call her, supported your claim. What do you think she would think of what you're doing now?
I had many conversations before she passed. This is very much something that she supported. She knew how much...
You can't slander the deceased.
Knew how much this meant to me. I think she's very much up there going, see this through to the end, without question.
Meaning the Queen or her estate cannot sue him for saying things that she said that she didn't say.
Without question.
Okay, without question, she will be looking down from above and saying to him, see this nonsense through to the end. We don't believe it. There's one more victim they throw in at the end. I don't really know why. I guess to give a counterpoint, because Baroness Doreen Wallace is the last member of the public who was targeted by the Daily Mail. But on the other hand, she was pleased that newspapers published the story of her son being unalived, as it drew attention to the fact that it was a hate crime. So this is their, I guess, balanced journalism. Prince Harry is hanging on to the coattails of people who are seriously victims of tabloid press, some regular people, some celebs, but all who didn't have the protection of the royal family nor the round-the-clock bodyguards that he had. Why is he so hell-bent on people feeling sorry for him, and how did he find someone as ridiculous as Meghan who motivates his victimhood? Comment down below. The interviewer did find it necessary to say that she did not bring up Diana, but Harry did. I like that little tidbit at the end where she said, I didn't bring up Diana, Harry did. So she's kind of throwing him under the bus with dining out on Diana. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening to me, and please don't forget to subscribe and press the bell notifications. And if you would like me to do some more of these deep dives, don't forget to like this video. Love you. Bye.
I was 1 year old. I was 1 year old when you danced with my mum. As you told everybody here, and continue to dine out on that probably every single night.
Bye.